gracious.
Even back in high school, Jennifer inspired more than
Y cambié la imagen por vender discos.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Growing Up Latina. I am your host, Ali B, and I am here today with the phenomenal, the beautiful DJ JadaBoo.
What it do?
What it do, JadaBoo?
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you, Queen?
I'm I'm really good. I'm good. I'm
Yeah?
excited to, just be here and share my experiences and get in a flow with you. I
Yes.
get so excited because I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna be bouncing off of each other's energy. Anyone that I meet that, is new, I'm like, I can't wait to be in that flow with someone. It's great.
Yes. You and I know we've been kind of going back and forth on dates for a little bit. Um, and as I told you offline, I had an opportunity to like be in your presence and like, experience like a JadaBoo party, right? And
Mhm.
it is absolutely insanity in the best way possible. Like it is vibes all the way. You really know how to like crowd control and how to read a room. And I always say on the show, like reading a room is an actual skill set that people often overlook. And
Mhm.
I think that you do that very, very well. And so I guess where I want to start is where did you first find that like inkling of realizing that you had a voice and
Yeah.
that your creativity and your voice was going to make an impact on others?
Well, you mentioned how we've been trying to get together for so long, and I felt that I wasn't ready, or I didn't feel like, oh, what is my voice gonna like matter? What is it gonna do? Sometimes you don't believe in like your own power. And I think that sharing my experiences of how I even became a DJ and how reading a room is so important and understanding people's emotions got me to, where I am. Um, I think it starts with childhood, being the oldest daughter of a family of four and having to carry a lot of responsibility. I think you um, get parentified as a really young child, and you kind of are like, okay, let me read everyone's emotions. Is everyone good? Am I doing my part? Am I, you know, not making a fight happen? Oh my God, is a room clean? Because mom's gonna be so pissed if it's not clean. Just understanding people's emotions and what makes them happy and what makes them, feel nostalgic, what makes them feel empowered. Of course, that there's also a negative side to it, which is people pleasing, no boundaries, and any all of that. But you can turn your quote unquote trauma, your negative, into a positive one. And I feel like if I didn't have that experience growing up of being the oldest and having all that responsibility and taking charge, that I wouldn't be able to understand human emotion.
That's so interesting that you say that because no one talks about that, right? Like the
Mhm.
trauma of being the oldest, because there is a lot of like, I guess, first to a certain extent, like you're almost like, it's almost like trial and tribulations, right? With you and your family, like because you're the first to go through it. Whereas the others that come after you, your brothers and your sisters, like they have a bit more easier path. I'm the youngest of three
Mhm.
girls. And
Yeah.
so a lot of my, both of my sisters, they're like, "Oh, you're like the baby and everyone babied you." But my sister, my older sister, she has like an entirely different experience from
Hmm.
me where in season 2 of Growing Up Latina, I talk a little bit about healing the relationship with my father after
Mhm.
not seeing him in over 11 years, right? And so I go to Puerto Rico, I see this man because at that point he's really far removed from my dad. He's just like a man to me. Um, and my sister's still kind of having a hard time forgiving him.
Yeah.
And her thing is like, you don't know what I've experienced. You're the youngest. I'm the oldest. So coming from divorced parents, I've
Mhm.
had a different experience. So I wonder for you, just being the oldest, like, what was that experience like? And what are some of like, I guess, the mistakes turned into lessons that you have shared with like your younger siblings?
I think that, I've touched a little bit on, being that child that was so in tune with their parents' emotions. And it wasn't just my mom, it was my dad as well. My dad, was in and out. He was, tried that both of them tried their best that they absolutely could. My mom is Mexican. She is third generation. So we are Chicana. I identify as Chicana, and so does my mom. And my dad is Black. They both had childhoods to where they grew up and they just tried their best. They had kids young, and shit happened. When you're
Yeah.
figuring it out, you have your trauma, when you have just like a lot of wounds. And I would say that, I had to learn growing into a really young age, which was about maybe like 18, 19. I had to start dealing with like my father issues, because those issues were coming up in friendships, or coming up in my relationship. The daddy issues. I went on the journey. Really, I was the first one out of my siblings to go through that, trying to heal all those wounds, which is okay. I'm going to go on the journey of forgiving my mother. I'm going to go on the journey of forgiving my father. I'm going to go on the journey of forgiving, just whatever caused any hurt in my life. I was the first one to go through that. And I think that I'm happy and I'm proud that I had to go through that, and that I would say that I'm in a space of where I'm not healed, but I'm on the journey of healing, and I'm able to help my siblings. And I see the crossroads that they hit, when I was like, oh, I remember exactly how you feel at the age of 22. I remember exactly how you feel at the age of this. And we did have different experiences though, and I do acknowledge that. Funny enough, you said you're the youngest, and I see so much of myself in my youngest sister, which is so funny. I don't really see it in like my sister that's closest in age with me, and then my brother. We're all pretty close in age, but me and my youngest sister have a 10-year age gap, and I see so much of her in me, like just the whole, really in tune with people's emotions, really creative, like all of the things, even though she grew up pretty different, our
Yeah.
parents, they get tired, they get like, less strict, and all of that. So, but she's still, I think we're very much the same. But to give them advice on, what we've been through, I allow myself to go through the journey of healing, because I'm able to be of service better. If I were to block off those wounds, or compartmentalize and, avoid them, I wouldn't be what I think the best sister that I am to them today. So, yeah, I had to go through it.
And I want to dive deeper into that, right? Because healing is when you heal, and I always say it's by choice, right? Like that's never really forced upon. It's literally you making a decision of like, you know what, there's a problem. I want to fix it. I want to heal. I want to confront this.
Mhm.
And so I think the interesting thing that you mentioned was forgiving. And so
Yeah.
that I want to just dive into that moment where you actually forgave your parents for whatever happened in the past. Like,
Mhm.
what was that moment for you where you said, you know what, I'm gonna forgive them. They're human beings. I'm just gonna let go of whatever, what do you call it, a grudge that I'm holding.
Yeah, I just felt that my continuation of putting everyone else first and meaning emotions, being there for everyone, and trying to strive to be the perfect daughter, the perfect sister, the perfect this. I needed to be all of that for me. And in order to do that, I needed to understand where the hurt and all of that came from. And I think the forgiveness really, it started because I was like, okay, I need to let go of control the outcome of reactions that I cannot control, which is other people's. If I can't make it to something, if I need to spend more time for me, if I need to do what I need to do for me, I would notice that there would be a reaction. So I was always so scared to put myself first. And
Yeah.
once I let all of that go and really started to realize, oh, okay, well, they're having this reaction because of their own shit they got going on, and I can't control that. And so that's when I started to forgive of like, oh my God, okay, well, they're acting this way or he's acting this way because of, and then I just realized it really had nothing to do with me. And that they're humans too, and just because they're our parents and our mom and our dad, that there's they still have the same hurt and they still have the same wounds as us. So I
Do
don't know
you
if that.
feel like do you feel like entering your DJ career that did you share the same sentiments where maybe you had to be the perfect DJ, being that your dad was this musical producer, right?
Yes.
And so like you come from that background and you
Yeah.
want to show him like I got it. You know what I'm saying?
It's a double-edged sword. Again, like what I said, like, a lot of your traumas can be positives. And, I grew up with my dad being like, I ran track, so he was always super like, you gotta practice, you gotta be in there, days hard work, like no sleep, no nothing. And I'm like, Dad, I'm 7. Like, wait, like what's going on?
Yes.
But that really trained me, I guess, for being a healthy competitive person, striving. I am my own competitor, and I really compete with myself of like, you know what, I want to do a better set than I did last time, or I need to learn this new skill. And DJing helped me through my darkest point in life. My both of my sisters have autism, and the sister that's closest to me has autism and schizophrenia. So, when the house is chaotic and, growing up in a Chicana household, we're in a minority household at that, we're not taught how to deal with those situations, and taught how to deal with mental health, and taught how to handle psychosis and what resources to obtain. So for me, I felt like I dove harder into my hobbies and my passions while I was going to school. And I think that um, I wouldn't have been as passionate, and I wouldn't have been so obsessed with DJing if I didn't go through such a dark time and, leaned on that passion.
When was the first time you fell in love with music?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, ever since I can remember, my parents were like, just us Mexicans, we love a good backyard party. We love,
Yes.
I think any Latino or Latina can agree that some of your favorite moments are those backyard parties. And my mom would recall just from a young age, like even like one or two, like I was up at the function, you
Yeah.
know. They probably one of my drunk aunts or uncles probably gave me a little slip of the
And you was out.
and I was out for the night. Not out of sleep. I was up at the function, and I just remember being so obsessed with music. My dad was obsessed with it, and so of course he was, a producer and a rapper, and I would be in the studio and, wanting to go to the studio, and I have a headphone picture of me when I was 1 or 2 with the headphones, and my dad's drum kit, beat pad. Just it's been a part of my life since I've been a baby.
Music plays such a huge role, and you're right, to the Latino culture, right? And to the community, and it is a healing power.
Hmm.
Um, and just having, I guess, family members that have studied this and do this for a living. When
Hmm.
did you decide to make this a career? Where this no longer is like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun, but now I'm going to make this a business. I'm going to make money out of this. Like, when was that transition?
I think the transition really came after the pandemic. Well, during the pandemic and after the pandemic. Have a hard time with that's that's one of the reasons why I started DJing is because I'd be at the parties and I have a little bit of social anxiety. So I was like, you know what? And I my love and my passion for music. So I was like, I need to be behind the booth, playing the music, controlling it. So I don't gotta talk to no one.
Yes.
Now I'm like so from, being in this life, I'm so social and I do love meeting and talking with new people. But at the time I definitely was still working on myself and working through those issues, but not issues, but um and yeah, so during the pandemic, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go and DJ online in front of people I can't see. I can't feel their energy. I don't know if I'm doing a good job. Like, I don't know if I care so much about if people are having a good time during my sets and if they're, really enjoying it. So it was a really rough time in the pandemic, as you can imagine for me. But girl, I posted myself online. It went viral. And after that, just things were happening. And after the pandemic slowly started to come out, and I was DJing a lot at Highlight Room. That was like the only club kind of open, sitting on Wednesdays. And everyone was pulling up because it was just after the pandemic and everyone being inside. So everyone was pulling up, and they'd always be like, who's the DJ? So it kind of just it spiraled upward into being a full-time career and everything like that. But I've been doing it for almost 10 years now.
I love that, by the way. Like, I love, first of all, there's a slew of questions I have.
Yeah.
One, let's talk about the TikTok ban. I think I just want to like get into that because
Mhm.
you are a person that has benefited from TikTok. Like,
Yeah.
you've amassed over millions of views
Yeah.
during this time, and even though it's not banned right now,
Yeah.
but I just wonder, like, because they say like when you go viral, you don't really know, right? Like, it doesn't really hit you. You're not even like, you just upload the video and you're not even thinking that you're about to go viral. So what was that moment for you where you got like your first, I guess, all eyes on you type of view, where it's like you've amassed all of this views?
Again, it goes back to that was overwhelming. And people are probably like, where is she? Because it is overwhelming. And I got so much positive feedback. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to keep it, up going and keep it consistent? And I'm like, you know what? Having that much eyes is sometimes it can be overwhelming. I know there's people
Yeah.
who there's a lots of artists who are like, I just do this trickery and I'm a superstar now, and that it kind of felt like that moment of like, oh my gosh, I really just did this for fun and because I miss DJing and I missed, seeing people's reactions to something, a transition. And so I was scratching for that feeling and I got it. But
Yeah.
that is one of my goals is to become more consistent with sharing my craft online versus in person. I'm very much in person, like I talked about, type the connection and, I'm trying to reprogram my mind to be able to do that online.
It's so crazy because you almost give like a teeny tiny bit of an introvert energy. But I've
I,
seen you in person doing this, and I would not even think you were an introvert. Like, you are in a zone, like you are in your bag. Like,
yeah,
anyone who has had the pleasure of just even experiencing a DJ JadaBoo party, like, you already know she is vibes, right? So for you to like say like, I need to be more consistent, I need to do this, I need to do that, it's like, girl, like, you have it, like, you are her, for real, for real. I want to go back into just being half black, half Mexican.
yeah.
How was that? Were there challenges throughout that journey? Do you feel like you have to like convince people of like, I can, cater to both genres? Or do you even have to like show people who you are for real? Like, what is that like? And how do you, I guess, sharing your perspective through that lens with others? Like, what is that journey like?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small all Hispanic town um, named Santa Paula, and that's in Ventura County. So it's Southern California, an hour outside of Los Angeles. Santa Paula is a very small town, all Hispanic, farm town, agriculture, all of that. When I showed up to school with my long curly hair and then my darker skin tone, they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm Black and Mexican." Like, I just thought it was so regular. I'm like, but I'm you. Like, I'm like, I'm Mexican. Like, why are you guys looking at me different? And why are you guys treating me different? Like,
Yeah.
I am Mexican. And that was my first, like, oh shit, like, I am Black and Mexican. Like, I'm not, when I go to all Black, um, I ran sports with all Black girls and Black people in Oxnard. And again, wasn't Black enough. And I had to deal with those struggles of like, okay, I'm never enough for any ethnicity. And it was really heartbreaking growing up, but it also now I'm so proud of being both. And I do feel enough, and I don't need the I guess the culture to tell me that I'm Mexican enough and that I'm Black enough, because I'm like, you know what, I'm Chicana. I grew up this way. And even though I wasn't born in Mexico, I still identify as a Mexican, and I'm proud to be both a Mexican American and a Black woman. And I'm very aware of my privilege of having lighter skin, my privilege of being mixed, but I also know that I have to have pride in both of my cultures, and I very much do. So,
Does that does that present like difficulty in booking? Like, do you feel like you were not booked enough because of this? Because people didn't really understand, even though like you can play anything, right? Like
yeah.
being any sort of ethnicity um does not equate to the music and the knowledge that you've learned, especially through your background and your dad being a musical producer. But do you feel like you either had to stand up for yourself and or there was difficulty in booking because maybe they didn't understand that
Yeah.
you can cater to this?
Yeah. I think, shout out to Latinx House. They have been so supportive of me. And my first event I did with them was at Sundance. And I showed up, and I am very much, Black passing. Or I do look Dominican. I've gotten I look Dominican. I do look like Puerto Rican, but you don't really know, like
Right.
ambiguous. You don't really know what I am, but most would say that I'm Black passing. And I remember I did a gig at Sundance, and it was all reggaeton and all salsa music, and I just kept on getting the how the fuck she know about this? How the fuck she know?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, you guys, I'm Mexican. Like, I can really, my music knowledge is vast, and I'm able. This is something that I grew up, and that's a part of me. And I just because I have a big passion for hip hop and R&B, and that's what I'm highlighted for most of the time. They could that with like, oh, we need to hire the Black girl, which cool, all day. I will support and I will show out and show my best, but I'm not really celebrated in um Spanish culture, I would say. When there's a lot of like, when you discuss like Mexican DJs or anything like that, I wouldn't feel like I'm a part of those discussions or a part of those conversations. I think it goes down to, again, the stereotypes and the stereotypes of your skin color, the stereotypes of your upbringing. Do you know how to speak Spanish? Are you speaking it right? Did you grow up eating this? Did you grow up with your parents teaching you this? And I think it's just a combination of everything. And if you aren't hitting all those check marks in our cultures, especially in mine, there's plenty of times where I don't feel Mexican enough. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, I kind of give up hands up, and I'm like, all right, well, not where I'm going to go where I'm celebrated, but I know that I'm enough, and I'm going to have my moment in, and I'm going to have my time to show. And I feel like I have been recently showing people, hey, no, this is very much my identity of being a Black and Mexican woman.
Facts. And it's so crazy because when I first became privy to the fact that you were half Mexican, half Black, I'm like, we got Jada, we got her, we
Yeah.
believe in her. So
Yeah.
it's like so weird that people don't see you as that because I was so proud that you were Latina. Like, I'm like, yeah, she's Latina. Like, we have to get her on the show. Um,
Yeah, I think, I think it's because it's what, social media too is like, if you're not, if I'm not posting Vincent Fernandez like every day or something like that, they're like, oh my gosh, she's not. And I'm like, you guys know, it's just, and it's so funny. I think that social media too has a big play. And, if you're meeting all those check marks and stuff.
do you feel like you have to fight for that? Like, do you feel like you have to throw up the Mexican flag to be like, hello, guys, I'm Mexican as well?
I know I'm about to, I don't know, for me, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna start. It's so funny because my friends that know me, they're like, "You're so Mexican, bro," and I'm like, "I know," but like, people wouldn't think that. Like, I literally have my hot Cheetos with my, and I know that's like people are gonna be like, "Okay, well, that's not Mexican," but I, you know, eat it every day. It's my culture. It's how I was raised, even down to my morals and values are very ingrained in my Mexican culture. So yeah.
What music did you grow up like listening to? Like what was like your biggest influence in terms of music?
Funny enough, I grew up on a lot of oldies, like a lot of Bretton Wood. We're, like I said, Chicana, so it's, a lot of low ride culture, a lot of oldies and lowrider music. So I grew up on a lot of oldies and R&B music and doo wop, and that was
Look
like
at Doo-wop.
the real,
Look at Doo-wop.
good. You could picture it, the '64 Impala, and just riding down the street. And my uncle had like a baby blue Chevy pickup truck, like 60 or 50s, and that's just our culture in California, and just being Mexican and being Chicana. So yeah.
You DJ'd an event for Kalani.
Hmm.
Like I want to talk about that because like how does that even happen? And by the way, Kalani's not even like the only celebrity that you like that's just like one that like stood out to me, but I mean notable artists honestly, but how does that happen for you? And like when was the first time that it even happened for you?
I've known Kehlani since I'm 30 now. I've known Kehlani since I've been like 19, 20.
No way.
Uh, um, yeah, we all used to hang out together. She was good friends with my ex, so we have known each other for a very long time.
But like, is that a phone call? Is that like, what is that? Is that like, hey girl, I would love for you to come see? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's I mean, I've DJ'd multiple things for her, so I'm really close with her manager too, David Ali, shout out David. And
Yeah.
they'll just like, hey, we got this event, and they'll just call and be like, I think you're perfect for it, so wanna come spin. So yeah.
Who was like the most surprising artist to reach out that you were like,
The most surprising artist that has reached out. I mean, I did, when did I do? I mean, the favorite artist that I've done so far is definitely Kendrick Lamar. So that's been really cool.
that's a big one.
Yeah, I did an after party years ago for the Mr. Morale tour. Um, who else? I feel like I've done a lot of celebrities. Oh my God, Paris Hilton. That was like,
How was that?
there was one. I was like, Paris Hilton. That was,
Paris Hilton. That's amazing.
yeah, it was at Coachella. It was at the Absolute tent. They had told me the day of, like, hey, Paris is coming and she's gonna be spinning and, doing her thing. And I was like, okay, I'm so ready for this. I think all the stars is no, yeah, I think all the stars is her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
she came, and I ended up staying with her on stage, and I just talked to her after, and I'm like, girl, you are pop culture. You are the icon. You are her. And she was like, thank you so much. And she was just so sweet and
Yes.
so amazing. Usually everyone that I work with though is like always a good vibe and always so respectful and just yeah.
I want to get into the fashion real quick because, girl, like you give us fashion.
Do
Like
I?
low key, high key, yes, you
Yeah.
do. Like you are like this cute girl that's like fashionable, that's like it's like a mix of like streetwear glam, almost kind of. Like I feel like you're very in tune with just like the fashion of the culture. Where does that come from?
Well, growing up poor, you got to go to the thrift store and have an eye, and really, you're not. I wasn't able to keep up with trends, so I had to make a trend. I had to, look for things that I'm like, oh, this would look cute on me. This would be cute to wear. This is a part, even though this is $2, I'm gonna make this $2 shirt rock, okay? And so,
Hello.
um, I think that with how popular a lot of our, within our culture, like thrifting and um, how popular it's become in vintage and this, and it always gets to like a new name, vintage, but it's like, girl, you
Hmm.
Goodwill, you're thrifting.
Yes.
Yeah, so I grew up thrifting and really putting together like my own clothes. My mom would make our costumes, Halloween costumes. My mom would make our clothes, do our hair, do everything. And my mom was really big on, what, we already look down already as minorities. So we're going to come to the nines every time. Like, not a baby hair will be out of place with you,
Hello.
a stain will be on your shirt. And so I just took a lot of those values and have always applied it to whatever that I wear, whether it's a $2 shirt or some, vintage Vivian Westwood. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, you always try to present your best foot forward, no matter what you're wearing.
Do you feel like um I guess in certain ways that's how you incorporate like the heritage and the culture into like I guess your performances, right? Because they are considered performances. Is that how you uh incorporate the Latin culture within your performances?
Yeah, so there's a lot of shops in my hometown that are ran by Mexicans and different Spanish people who have, different vintage shops, and I wear a lot of their clothes. I wear a lot of clothes that my mom finds me sometimes,
I
and
love that.
still to this day, that's how I represent. And or even like down to like I'm looking at my cowboy boots right now that are from my home. Just
Yes.
spreading like that West Coast culture is really important to me. The past few years, it hasn't been more so about accolades of what I need to have this type of, because you can get really detailed in your manifestations of like, I need this type of car, I need this type of wardrobe, which is, beautiful. And I think that you can possess those things. But for me, I've been in this part of my like healing journey, where I'm really focused on consistency, not having fear, and a more balanced routine. I feel like with the nightlife and everything that I've been grinding for, I kind of lost that sense of, oh my gosh, okay, this is what a normal, consistent routine looks like, because it's, late nights and all of that stuff. And you will get lost in the sauce if you don't take time to slow down and recalibrate your intentions of like, okay, well, what do I need from me? What is my body needing? What am I needing in order to feel purposeful without the identity of my career?
You mentioned your healing journey, I think like three times in the interview. Um, what what is that, right? Like what are you healing from per se?
I think that I think that well, first things first, mental illness runs really prominent on both sides of my family. And, I just got a diagnosis this past year, which I'm not ready to fully say yet, but I am really proud of myself for being able to reach out to a psychiatrist and be able to get more help and understand, just like my genetics and all of that. And I think that for so long I've been, dealing with how did my psychiatrist describe it? It's like I've had this backpack with a bunch of stones on it and not realizing that they weren't all my stones. And so each year I take out some stones and I realize what that stone is. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I want to be able to just live with that backpack and collect the things that I want to collect instead of having stones from the past of, whether that's childhood trauma or heartbreak, from
Yeah.
getting out of a 15-year engagement and all of that. So relationship engagement, just
Yeah.
all of that stuff. Just the walks of life journey. Yeah.
You know what's so crazy? I think it's interesting that you say that because there's certain things that I'll only post on my close friends and maybe won't ever hit like the general public. And I'll have like friends call me like, why are you only posting this on your close friends? Like you need to share your journey. And I'm like, I just don't need distractions. I
Yeah.
think when you're on a journey, like you need to be fully focused. You need to have support. I think it's such a sensitive time. At least for me, right? Like I can only speak for myself. Sometimes when I'm on my journey, like I feel like it's so hypersensitive that like I cannot have outside noise weighing in this world where grace is such a popular term, right? Like how do you show yourself grace during this time? I mean, you're in LA. I know LA just recently had these wildfires. And like how are you showing yourself grace in order to keep that mental health stable?
That's through reprogramming any negative thoughts that I have within my mind, like and catching it right away. And when you do the work, you'll reach different levels within the work of being like, okay, well, I know this negative thought is about to come up. Like, I know that I need to stop it before anything happens. And, a lot of people do want me to share. I know I relate so much with that of do want me to share, what I'm going through with my journey. And I have learned, like what we talked about in the beginning of the conversation, I really like to put myself through a trial and tribulation and really know what I'm talking about before I share it with people because I learned that through my siblings. I don't ever want to give them advice where I'm like, you know what, I just did it and fuck it. You know what I mean? Just do it. I
Yeah.
want to be able to give the most educated and um, resourceful and meaningful advice that I can. And I really like to be intentional with what I say. And words are so powerful. I just don't like just talking just to talk. And yeah,
What are some of your goals entering into 2025?
no fear, girl, no fear in
Yes.
showing more of myself. I think even me doing this interview was a big like, go Jada,
Yes.
Yeah. And I think just continuing to understand my identity is not within my career. It's in with what I make of myself and what people don't see. And I really want to be good to myself, even when people aren't looking, and it brings up you brought up how like, oh my God, you wouldn't know that you're an introvert and all that stuff because when I am in my passion and in my joy, I am so extroverted. I'm so excited to be out in the world. And I just want to carry over some of that into my everyday life, and just not put so much into um, the identity of you are your what you are, what you work and do.
I think in the midst of like it all, you
Mhm.
must know that you inspire so many. And I'm sure people have come up to you and have told you, like, oh my God, like you're such a huge inspiration. I'm DJing because of you. And
Yeah.
so, like, what advice would you give to any aspiring DJ who is, wanting to follow in your footsteps? Like, what would you tell them?
Um, One, master the skill. There's a lot of, it's so easy now to become a DJ. I think mastering the skill and the knowing that you're carrying such a meaningful, and it's such an honor to be able to carry on the legacy of the craft and to really be, again, intentional and really dive deep, learn about everything, learn about turntables, learn about, even though that's, kind of not a lost art, but, everything's digital. Learn about turntables, learn about the sound. If you have a hiccup in your, sound, learn about, the mixer that you're working on. Don't just rely on that controller. You really have to learn your craft and know your shit. And the second is you cannot care what people think. If it goes to like requests, play Bad Bunny. Okay, but what if it's not the time to play Bad Bunny yet? You got to listen
Hello.
to yourself and listen to your intuition, because you are reading the room, you're controlling the vibe, and your intuition is the most important thing that you got to listen to so it doesn't die. And I use my intuition every time when I'm DJing, when I'm picking a song and what song will be next afterwards. I just let my intuition and God guide me.
I got like two more questions before I go into my rapid fire. First, I know this
Mhm.
is like completely like sidebar, but what is your sign?
I'm a Sag, girl. I'm a
Me
Sag.
too.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Wait, when's your birthday?
December 17th.
Okay, I'm the 7th. Yes.
Yes. I'm
We're
like,
December.
you giving energy. So I'm like, what is her sign?
Yeah. I'm a December Sag. I'm Sun. I'm a Gemini rising.
Me
And
too. Me
not
too.
Queen, where have you been?
I am Sag, Gemini, Cancer.
Oh, you have Cancer. You okay? So I'm
Yeah.
Aquarius moon. So double air
Okay.
fire. Yeah.
Okay. Dope. If you can like tell something to your younger self, like what would you tell her? What would you tell young Jada?
I would tell young Jada that the sooner you realize that you are on this earth for you and not for everyone
Hmm.
else's trials and tribulations and here to fix everyone, the sooner and happier you will be.
Period. Period. Let's go into our rapid fire. These are gonna go quick. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. Tell me you're Latina without telling me you're Latina.
Pass the hot Cheetos.
Yes. What's one thing you need in the morning?
Ooh, coffee.
Okay. What is your favorite Latin dish?
Um, Chile verde.
Do you cook?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. If you had an opportunity to have the Last Supper with three Latinas, dead or alive, who would they be?
Selena, Vincent Fernandez,
Mm-hmm.
and alive. Let's see. Rosie Perez. My mom left
Period.
of mine.
Yes. What does it mean to you to be Latina?
It means that you carry everyone and everything culture on your back. You are so strong. You're so bold. Um, we are what carries the culture. We define it. We shape it, and we're we are just the culture. Period.
Yes. What is this chapter of your life called?
Being happy for myself.
Yes. And finish this sentence. Growing up Latina is.
Beautiful.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jada Boo, for coming on Growing Up Latina. If you could leave us with some last words that you would like to share with the audience, your fans, people that support you. You do have a cult-like following. So any last words that you would want to share?
Last words I want to share is that I will be DJing around, of course, this year and be doing a lot more events and stuff. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm also going to be consistent and more vulnerable online with my followers and just give them more um, just engaging stuff, whether that's DJing, maybe sharing some recipes, cooking, all that, and
Yeah.
just live more of myself.
We love you, Jada Boo. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
So much fun. Thank you.
Yes.